All right, everyone, a link in the description to a really good article here. It's actually an archive of a Gab Trends copy of an Axios report, which is hilarious. I archive everything when possible out of principle. I have no problem with Gab Trends, actually. It's arguably, I think, going to be the most successful thing Gab's delved into. They've got like Dissenter and then Gab itself as an anti-Twitter platform, but I think that Gab Trends really, as a drudge competitor, will get far more popular. Anyway, looking at this. This is extremely important when we analyze the 2020 election because it shows the difference between the fundamental grassroots reality about modern politics and the astroturfed bullshit of the lamestream media. This is about social media interaction for Trump and for most of the Democratic competitors. I'm assuming that they cut it off with Cory Booker probably because everyone else was below 100K on this. This is the weekly rank since January 7th. Trump consistently number one. Biden and Sanders sort of duking it out for second. Trump had, as a 1 week total, average for this week, 46.9 million interactions. This is cross-platform. Next up in line is Biden at 2.6. Absolutely dwarfed. He dwarfs all of the Democrats combined on this list. Sanders is third at 1.9, 1.6 for Warren. Tulsi Gabbard in fifth, by the way, with 1 million interactions, well out ahead of Kamala Harris at 500,000, and it goes from there. Beto's out now, so he doesn't matter. And I was surprised Buttigieg is down at number 8. Here's the thing. Increasingly, social media interaction, which is fundamentally free, is beginning to dwarf ad buys on radio and TV, or even internet ads, like banner ads and shit on Facebook. The return rate for Trump making a tweet is considerably higher than a multi-million-dollar ad buy on TV. There's almost no reason for ads to even be bought on TV anymore. Like if I had a business, even a brick and mortar business, unless I was targeting locally or regionally, there's no possible way you could get me to make a commercial. You have to produce it, and you have to pay people, you pay the network, how can you possibly make a return? It's like all you see now, like the local listings. Watch TV in Vermont. Watch WCAX. What are the ads? Other than a few political ads, most of it's like Tractor Supply Company or something like that, some local business. You're never going to see anything more substantial than that because there's no reason to. Donald Trump gets more free publicity just by making 3 a.m. tweets than all of the other people get combined making all of their content together. And sometimes, by the way, they try to do things like you'd think of Beto O'Rourke live streaming his haircut, or Elizabeth Warren grabbing a beer. Oh, hey, honey, I'm going to have a beer. Hey, I can drink one with the boys. I can drink piss beer. I like Rolling Rock, or whatever the fuck she was drinking. And it was just really cringy. It's just so terrible, so bad. Joe Biden's probably the worst. He keeps making like these little Twitter ad videos and stuff. He can't even be coherent for the 10 seconds required to ask people to chip in $5. It's like the other night. Now, I was hoodwinked by this. This is totally separate from the social media thing, but we have to talk about this at least briefly. I posted this on Twitter. There was a user, they posted a video there appearing to depict Joe Biden wandering aimlessly on stage while talking to a wall. And, afterwards I found out that was just a close-in shot. What C-SPAN was doing was hiding the fact that there was low turnout at a Democratic meeting where all of the major candidates were present. Every single one of them gave speeches, and yet they couldn't even fill an arena that held, maybe 2,000 or 3,000 people for all of the candidates combined. And so to obscure that fact, they had close-in shots throughout virtually the whole broadcast. By the way, the live streams with this few hundred views here, 1,000 there. Again, dwarfed by a small rally by Trump or even by Bernie Sanders alone in an urban area. It was terrible. But the fact that they had the shots close in meant that Biden, who was wandering around and turning around on stage to talk to the back row, because there were people in the balcony above the screen and a few like photographers and staffers down below, he would talk to them. It made it look like he was talking to the wall and walking away from the crowd, didn't know where he was. Easily exploitable. It is selective editing. It's half true. Yeah, he was talking to the screen, technically. It's just that there were people above it that he was also talking to. Anyway, social media has become far more important. As a medium of communication, the internet is now the thing. It is what it is. It's the only major communications platform of note. Phone lines, everything phone-related is now simply part of the internet anyway. The fact that it's held on a different network doesn't mean it's not connecting fundamentally to the exact same material. It's all internet. TV, increasingly, essentially you're watching it on a laptop on the go or a tablet or something like that. All of these things have become intertwined. The fact is that there's no longer any legitimate reason whatsoever to do ad buys on TV. By the way, Twitter refusing to air political ads. I have a feeling that that's going to be followed suit by a lot of sites. They're just going to ban it outright because they don't want the trouble of having the social justice warriors breathing down their neck constantly. It's going to be an interesting time to see what happens for the rest of this election. Trump rules social media specifically because he's the first one to understand that the paradigm has fundamentally shifted at this point. People don't really care if he says shit on Twitter in the literal and figurative sense. They find it funny. It's endearing to them because they can interact with it. You can't interact with Joe Biden's ad on TV. You can't interact with Elizabeth Warren when she goes on a radio show. It's not as fun. You can't interact with it. The only way it becomes fun is if that streaming on the internet has a comment section or something like that. Or if you can share it elsewhere and have a commenting system. That's also, by the way, the reason these big tech firms are considering removing commenting functions altogether. There's a reason why people are increasingly advocating for that, especially in the legacy media, because it makes them completely obsolete. Hell, dissenter is the biggest risk that they have to them. It's hilarious. I'm not surprised, though. When you look at what these people post, a lot of it is just, it's not fun anyway. It's not interesting. It just doesn't catch the eye. Tulsi Gabbard on here, number 5, with 1 million interactions, not that far below Elizabeth Warren. There's a reason for that. She's the only Democrat that's more maybe sort of with it and more interesting to listen to, specifically because at any given moment she might attack the DNC and it might cause a firestorm. And that's basically the only reason why. But even then, it doesn't hold a candle to Trump. He's way out ahead of all of them combined. I wonder where Yang would be. He's probably right below Booker. I can't imagine that he's that far below that mark. As for everyone else, like Klobuchar, yes, there's a hot ticket item. Klobuchar trending in the U.S. Why? Because she admitted that she had sex with an animal or something? I mean, come on. Everyone else is totally irrelevant. I don't even know why Booker's on this list. And Beto O'Rourke being on, it's hilarious, since I think he had dropped out the day before this report came out. Actually, it might have been the same day, so they accidentally aggregated Beto on there instead of somebody else because they couldn't wait a couple of extra hours, and it's like really funny. I think based on this significantly increases the chance that Trump becomes president again. It also significantly increases the chances that the next person to seize the presidency will be doing fundamentally the same thing. We've seen another paradigm shift within the delivery of political material. It's just like the advent and popularity of early wave internet with Drudge, ironically enough, and some of these other sites. It changed the way politics were done. TV, radio, certainly, the fireside chats and things of that nature, differentiated from what had been standard politics. They were novel at the time, they were more interactive, they were more interesting to people, and people got in on it and were part of that conversation increasingly. It'll be interesting to see what comes next. I think that the paradigm of portability, that is, that people are constantly on the internet, sometimes to a fault, fundamentally changes things a bit too. Social media is a great thing. Let's hopefully harness that power for good. Unfortunately, mostly it's harnessed for cat videos and shit posting. That's about all. Peace out.